We will tap in 4 billionaires today that will share their wisdom. Would you hold space stock if it went from $25 to $2? Me, absolutely yes. I don't want to be in a stock that everybody says will go to the moon and you cannot lose your money, right? Because these are the pure signs of a huge bubble. And we are talking about not going to the freaking grocery store. We are talking about space industry, guys. Space industry, okay? Billionaires are actually loving that space goes down, and I know lots of people will comment negatively here, and I love it, guys, okay? Make it freaking rain. You know why? Because I know that as more people are negative on a stock, as more potential it is. I don't want to be in a stock that everybody says will go to the moon and you cannot lose your money, right? Because these are the pure signs of a huge bubble. We saw this in Bitcoin. We saw that temporarily in Tesla. We saw it in Uber. We saw it in, so many different kind of assets. When people are too positive about something, this is actually negative and other way around. Now, we will dive into the first billionaire, who's Warren Buffett. We will tap in 4 billionaires today that will share their wisdom. And I will go into each of them and explain you what actually is between the lines and what does it mean in very, very simple vocal waves. All right, so make sure to smash the like button and not the dislike button, because leave your emotions at the door when you are start investing, for God's sake. So when we are talking about Warren Buffett, he is maybe the oracle of the stock market. And have a look what he actually says to a falling stock.
I never know what markets are going to do. There's never been a time in my life when I know what markets are going to do over a long period of time. They're going to go up. But in terms of what's going to happen in a day or a week or a month or a year even, I've never felt that I knew it, and I've never felt that it was important. I will say that in 10 or 20 or 30 years, I think stocks will be a lot higher than they are now.
I know you look at things like that, but I also know that you look at stocks and try to decide if they're fairly valued, if they're overvalued, if they're looking cheap at this point. And we have been waiting for a correction for an awfully long time. That's finally come. Do stocks look cheaper to you, just based on where we've come?
Well, anytime stocks go down, as far as I'm concerned, I like it because I'm a net buyer of stocks. I've been buying stocks ever since I was 11 years old. So when stocks go down, it's good news. Just like when hamburgers go down, it's good news, or Coca-Cola goes down, it's good news in terms of anything I buy. But stocks are going to go down. You could probably look it up as to what percent of the days, since I was born, they've gone down, and maybe it'd be 30% or something like that. And you can't predict what stocks will do, but in the short run. But you can predict that American business will do well over time. And just take the 20th century. Stocks went from 66, the Dow average, 66 to 11,497, and you were getting 3 times as much in dividends as the whole average was selling for at the start. And you had 2 world wars, and you had a Great Depression, flu epidemics, all kinds of things. American business will do fine over time, and if you own a piece of it, and if you don't beat yourself, the only person that can cause you to get a bad result in stocks is yourself.
So as you can see, he's basically saying over the long term, okay, the stocks go up and he is a net buyer, which means he's rather always buying. He never, try to time the market because it's impossible, okay? And if there is not enough Warren Buffett for you, there's another billionaire, second wealthiest person in the whole world. And I know for a lot of space investors, the number one enemy, right? Jeff Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos. Jeff Bezos is maybe a kind of a evil-tuned villain in the adventurous marvel of space and Virgin Galactic. But, let's have a look what he has to say about the falling stock.
At the peak of the internet bubble, our stock peaked somewhere around $113. Right. And then after the internet bubble, busted open, our stock went down to 6. It went from 113 to 6 in less than a year. My annual shareholder that year starts with a one-word sentence, and that one-word sentence is the word ouch.
So most of those internet companies of the dot-com era are out of business.
Yeah.
You survived. What was it that made you to survive, and virtually the rest of them are gone?
That whole period is very interesting because the stock is not the company, and the company is not the stock. And so as I watched the stock fall from 113 to 6, I was also watching all of our internal business metrics, number of customers, profit per unit, everything you can imagine, defects, etc. Every single thing about the business was getting better and fast. And so as the stock price was going the wrong way, everything inside the company was going the right way. And we didn't need to go back to the capital markets. We didn't need more money. The only reason, a financial bust like the internet bubble bursting is, makes it really hard to raise money. But, we already had the money we needed. So we just needed to continue to progress.
Wall Street kept saying, well, Amazon's not making any money. They're just getting customers. Where's the profits? Where are the profits? And Wall Street kept beating you up on that. And your response was, I don't really care what you think?
Amazon was, people always accused us of selling dollar bills for 90 cents and said, look, anybody can do that and grow revenues. That's not what we were doing. We always had positive gross margins. It's a fixed cost business. And so what I could see is that from the internal metrics is that at a certain volume level, that we would cover our fixed costs and the company would be profitable.
Oh boy, from 100 something to a couple of dollars, would you hold space stock if it went from $25 to $2? Me, absolutely yes, under one condition, and the condition comes clear when you listen to Jeff Bezos. The stock price is not the company, and the company is not the stock price. The stock price is determined how many people are willing to buy a stock, and therefore this could be, depending on the sentiment on the stock market, quite volatile, right? Up and down, mania and fear, right? Both like an angel and a devil on both shoulders. And on the other side, the company just delivers. So I see a very, very much steady delivering space company with Virgin Galactic. We did the test flights, we did the Richard Branson flight, we will do new spaceships, we will do a maintenance to increase the rate of the spaceship operation. I mean, there's nothing that Virgin Galactic said that not eventually became true. Of course there's delay, guys, okay? How many times you were a little bit delayed in your life? And we are talking about not going to the freaking grocery store. We are talking about space industry, guys. Space industry, okay? Meteors and space rocks. And guys, if you think like you are the center of the universe, freaking zoom out. You are on a space rock in an infinitive room that is called universe, and it's basically expanding all the time. And if you are thinking, that's all explainable, well, let me tell you that we are all consist of molecules, and this remote is made of molecules. I'm made of molecules. And if you ask a scientist why, if you stack molecules on molecules, why they don't mix up, you know what they say? I don't know. From one spaceman to the other, Elon Musk is very famous for stock prices and movements on the market. You remember this tweet where he said the stock price is too high, this one. Then you know what I'm talking about. Here's a very old interview where he's talking about the stock price, and let's have a look what he says.
And your stock went up, Elon, by something like 8-9%, just based on that tweet alone. You earned about $3 billion in market cap on that. Is that a surprise to you?
Yes. I mean, that seems like an unlikely thing to happen just based on a tweet. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's surprising. I don't really follow the stock that much. So I think sometimes the stock moves for kind of random reasons, and if that ends up being a mood barometer, then it's not a happy laugh.
Well, because a few weeks ago you had said yourself, look, you thought the stock was a little bit high, and it then fell about 10% after that. So do you still think the stock is a little high?
Well, it depends on how people. If somebody's a long-term holder of the stock, I think there's a lot of appreciation that will occur in the long term. In the short term, it's difficult to predict these fluctuations. But it does seem as though, for a company that had a few $1 billion in revenue last year, to have a $30+ billion market cap is on the high side. And I think that's. I think there's certainly lots of people on the internet who say that. And
So you still feel that way then about your stock?
No, I mean, I feel like it's always difficult to predict the short-term fluctuations. So if someone's a long-term holder of the stock, I don't think they should sell the stock. I think it will appreciate and ultimately be much higher than it is today. But in terms of short-term fluctuations, that's impossible to say.
So listen to Elon Musk. He basically says between the lines, sometimes the stock price can, again, detach from the company, right? So this is exactly what Jeff Bezos says as well. So they are, for once, aligned about their statements. And I think that this is the takeaway from this part of the video. But there is one more guy, okay? One more guy who is maybe one of the most greatest guy on earth, stock market investing. He has this very easygoing, attitude, and I just love that about Mr. Lynch. Let's have a look what he says. Before the video start, I just want to give you my opinion directly about him. So you will see that he makes a very humorous way of saying that in the end of the day, always remember why you bought the stock, because if it's going down and you bought it because of great development in the company, then just keep on buying and reduce your average, because then at some point, if you are right and you did really good research and the company, and you're observing the company for a longer time and you see that the company is really doing well, you will be heavily rewarded. Like I was rewarded very heavily financially when I was right on Tesla, and Tesla went from 40, 50, 60% down, and I didn't lost faith because I read every single article. I made sense about things. I took the time every single day to just invest into my investments. In the end, it was very hard earned money, and that's why make your own research as well. I'm leaving you now with Peter Lynch and his wisdom about falling stocks.
Is a lot of times people buy on the basis the stock has gone down this much. How much further can it go down? I remember when Polaroid went from 130 to 100, people said, here's this great company, great record. If it ever gets below 100, just buy every share, and it did get below 100. A lot of people bought on that basis saying, look, it's gone from 135 to 100. It's now 95, what a buy. Within a year, it was 18. And this is a company with no debt. I mean, this is a company, it was just so overpriced, it went down. I did the same thing in my, I think my first or second year at Fidelity. Kaiser Industries had gone from $26 a share to 16. I said, how much lower can it go? It's 16. So I think we bought one of the biggest blocks ever on the American Stock Exchange of Kaiser Industries at 14. I said, it's gone from 26 to 16. How much lower can it go? Well, at 10, I called my mother and said, Mom, you got to look at this Kaiser Industries. I mean, how much lower can it go? It's gone from 26 to 10. Well, it went to 6, it went to 5, it went to 4, it went to 3. And now, unfortunately, this happened rapidly, or I would probably be still caddying or working at the Stop and Shop, but it happened fast, so I was able to, it was compressed. And at 3, I figured out, there's something very wrong here, because Kaiser Industries owns 40% of Kaiser Steel, they own 40% of Kaiser Aluminum, they own 32% of Kaiser Cement, they own Kaiser Broadcasting, they own Kaiser Sand and Gravel, Kaiser Engineers, they own Jeep, they own business after business, and they had no debt. Now, I learned this very early. This might be a breakthrough for some people. It's very hard to go bankrupt if you don't have any debt. It's tricky. Some people can approach that. It's a real achievement. But they had no debt, and the whole company at 3 was selling at about $75 million. At that point, it was equal to buying one Boeing 747. I said, there's something wrong with this company selling for $75 million. I was a little premature at 16, but I said everything's fine, and eventually this will work out. And what they did is they gave away all their shares to their shareholders. They passed out shares in Kaiser Cement, they passed out shares in Kaiser Aluminum, they passed out their public shares in Kaiser Steel, they sold all the other businesses, and you get about $50 a share. But if you didn't understand the company, if you're just buying on the fact the stock had gone from 26 to 16, and then it went to 10, what would you do when it went to 9? What would you do when it went to 8? What would you do when it went to 7? This is the problem that people have, is they sell stocks because they didn't know why they bought it, then it went down, and they don't know what to do now. Do you flip a coin? Do you walk around the block? What do you do? Psychiatrists haven't worked so far. I've never seen them running in. The psychological psychiatry fund I've never seen listed for with the SEC to make it through as a mutual fund. So they haven't seemed to help. I've tried prayer. That hasn't worked. So if you don't understand the company, you have this problem when they go down. Eventually, they always come back. This one doesn't work either. People think RCA just about got back to its 1929 high when General Electric took it over. A lot of double knits never came back. Remember those beauties? Floppy disks, Western Union. The list goes on and on. People saying it'll come back. Well, it doesn't have to come back. Here's another one you hear all the time. It's $3. How much can I lose? I've had people call me up saying, I'm thinking of buying this stock at 3. How much can I lose? Well, again, you may need a piece of paper for this, but if you put if you put $20,000 in a stock at 50, or your neighbor put $20,000 at 50 into the stock, and you put $20,000 in at 3, and it goes to 0, you lose exactly the same amount of money. Everything.